Sometimes I find something at the dump that reminds me that memory, it can be a fickle thing. I remember consoles and online content always having gone hand in hand. But when I see something like this, a physical XBLA disc meant to entice offline gamers to get online and start using the Xbox store, which was called the Xbox Live Arcade, then I remember that the Xbox 360 was really the first console to fully embrace and fully succeed at delivering online content. And it was also partially responsible for the indie scene happening in the first place, as it was the first and only place for a while that allowed self-publishing without a monetary investment, provided the tools and the free help to do so, and also a platform to do it. Something that Valve was a few years off from doing, and something that Sony, to my knowledge, actually never quite did on the PS3. So let's have a look at this 2007 offline advertisement and see what it brings to the table to get the gamers to get online and start using the store. So first up is an ad showing the power of the Xbox 360 UI, and it's of course great to see the old Blades layout. Not because I think it's particularly better than the new layout the Xbox 360 adopted around the 2010s, but it is nostalgic. If you're not in the know, the layout you're seeing here on the disc used to be how the UI layout looked on the 360 when it launched. And it was kind of bad and hard to navigate, so they adopted this better one that put all of the information you needed on the front screen and then the blades off to the sides that would take you to the store and other menus. No one complained that this was changed, and we all loved the new one. But nostalgia is nostalgia, and there are several people out there championing the old design even though it was terrible, and going as far as to hunt down old consoles that haven't been updated yet. People are sometimes a little stupid. The reason for the blades themselves was not a design decision per se. The console did a lot of firsts, and it had to provide easy access to a lot of information that consoles hadn't previously needed to provide access to, and this was just the best way they thought they could do that in 2005, and for the time it was fine. And it really was ahead of its time. Not with the layout that was very off the era, but the features like the previously mentioned store, media apps, whatnot. But what else is here? Well, it's 2007, so that of course means that there is an ad for Shrek the Third, the tie-in game, and Rare's Viva Pinata, a game that they thought would take off a whole lot more than it did, and it's a shame that it didn't. And if it had been on a Nintendo console, it probably would have. And speaking of, once upon a time, online games on consoles and retail games were separate. Not every retail game was available online, but usually they had a demo, and on this disc there are two demos for upcoming hot retail releases, and one of them is actually Viva Pinata. Viva Pinata is like the Xbox version of Animal Crossing and or Harvest Moon. You're a disembodied god person who tends a garden of living, breathing pinata creatures. You have to create conditions that will attract pinatas, and once you've attracted them, you have to create even more ideal conditions for them so that they will boink and make more pinatas. This starts out easy, like just cleaning up your garden area and planting grass, and then moving on to attracting specific pinatas that can be other pinatas' food, and growing and cultivating specific plants, yada 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 yada. Very good game, and a shame that it never reached the height of, well, any Nintendo franchise, because it absolutely should have. And we should have been getting one each year, and we should have been getting sick of them by now. The other demo on this disc is Surf's Up, which was a 2007 mockumentary animated movie, which of course had a video game tie-in, and I hate to admit this, but Surf's Up might be the best surfing game ever. Surfing as a video game phenomenon is inherently boring because regardless of what you do, there is only one level available, and that level is water. And it's a fairly small level with fairly little to do in it. Surfing is about finding and catching a wave, and it's an incredibly fun to do thing in real life. and it's also really fun to watch, but as a video game experience? Kelly Slater's Pro Surfer understood this, and it put hours worth of documentaries in the game, which didn't make it a good surfing game, but at least an interesting experience for surfers. Surf's Up, on the other hand, actually makes the surfing interesting. It makes it so that the wave is always pushing the player forward, which turns it into a fun auto-scroller racing experience. You can do tricks on the wave, or more interesting, there are small islands and icebergs that the wave passes by, and they have ramps and jumps and power-ups on them, incentivizing you to try and get out to them. Being on the wave will build up your speed, and you can then take your chance and try to make it out to a jump, ramp or power-up, and there is a risk-reward system in place because of it, and it makes the surfing part of the surfing game really interesting, which makes Surf's Up the only surfing game where the surfing part of the surfing game is interesting. And there is something comical about a shovelware kiddie title made by people who have probably not even seen a surfboard in real life being a better surfing game than one created by a team of critically acclaimed extreme sports game developers and the actual best surfers in the world. Surf's Up is the Surf's Up of video games, and I hate and also love that it is that. But demos isn't the only thing that's on here. There are a handful of quote-unquote full releases, and we are gonna have a look at those. Boom Boom Rocket is a strange pre-Guitar Hero rhythm game that lets the player rhythm game their way through a series of copyright-free songs by tapping the colored face buttons in the correct order and tempo. The better you do, the higher the score, and there is multiplayer and leaderboards that don't work anymore because it's been 15 years, you name it. Not a whole lot to it nowadays, but back then this was a pretty nice time killer. Which is also the case for Feeding Frenzy. You are a fish and you must eat smaller fish to become bigger so that you can eat the bigger fish that you have previously been avoiding getting eaten by. Repeat ad nauseum. Like Boom Boom Rocket, there is of course also leaderboards that don't work, different modes, you name it. Luxor 2 is like that game with the frog. You shoot colored balls at a snake making its way through a level, and when you put 3 or more in a row together they blow up and the snake gets smaller, with the ultimate goal being to completely wipe it out before it reaches its destination. It's a fun simple game like a lot of arcade games were in the beginning of the service's life, and like the previous 2 titles and like the others we'll talk about, there are of course many modes, and of course also leaderboards that don't work because it's been decades. And on the reverse of something that is dead is Pac-Man, something that will never die. And I cannot understand why, because Pac-Man is kind of boring. I remember it being a big deal when Championship Edition arrived on XBLA, because it was apparently a really good update on the formula. And either I can't tell the difference because I don't know Pac-Man well enough, or Pac fans have Pac fever and they are hallucinating this game being better and more varied than it is, because I cannot tell you the difference between this and any other version of Pac-Man. You munch your way through a level, collecting little cheeses, and when you collect a big cheese you eat the ghosts, and then they will go to ghost jail for a while before they start chasing you again. You repeat until you die, and then die again, and then die again, and you run out of lives, and the game is over. And it's, I don't know, it's fine, I guess. And finally there is Uno. It's Uno. It's not fun unless you're playing stripped Uno with hot people you want to see naked, but it was very popular way back when because you could play it online, but with people you didn't know and couldn't see, including their naked bits, so who cares. And that was what was hiding on this physical XBLA disc. It might seem a little tame, and it might not seem like something that anyone would find particularly interesting, but times back then they were different, and so were the expectations for what made a good gaming experience. In 2007 we were still very excited about demos because they were the only ways that we could sample new upcoming releases because they weren't available online for the most part. and there weren't YouTubers or Let's Plays to give us an insight into the ins and outs of gameplay and give us a taste of the narrative. And the full games that are on here might not seem like system sellers or even worth getting an internet connection over, because they are the type of game that is available or pre-installed on your phone for free. But it was 2007 and games like these were only just starting to appear on phones, and it would be a few more years before smartphone adoption would really catch on, and people thought these time killers were quite fun and addictive, because they didn't really know any better. It's an interesting relic to look back on today, especially since it's presented in the same UI as the console's original UI. And I wonder if there are more discs out there like it, and I wonder what is on them. And if you know of any, let me know down below, and until I see you again, take care, bye bye.